lending or from ODA is sensitive to climate risk. What that tells us is if we don't factor climate risk into the way we plan and spend on development at the national level, then we could literally be pouring money down the drain and out to sea, which is never a good principle. So we are very much stressing the importance of adaptation being factored fully into national development plans. One area we're very active on, and where Australia has been particularly supportive, is on the initiative to have the forestry issues written into the international climate agreement being negotiated. Australia has a forest carbon partnership with Indonesia, and Indonesia, the UN RED, reduction of emissions from deforestation and degradation, is working well with that partnership. Kevin Rudd himself came to New York for the summit last year on climate change and was a participant in the event which we hosted on UN RED, and that high-level support is very, very much appreciated. At this point in the negotiations around the climate agreement, of course, one of the key issues is adequate funding for particularly the least developed and low-income countries for climate change adaptation and mitigation in the future. And while we have the Copenhagen Accord giving some certainty about money for the next 3 years, the $30 billion over 3 years, nonetheless, the figure which Gordon Brown put out in the public arena quite a few months ago, $100 billion a year, is the figure which at least has to be scaled up. There's very, very substantial resources involved here. And the truth is that the risks of social and political instability will increase globally in coming decades if climate change causes large population transfers and growing tensions over the allocation of essential natural resources like water. So the more we can do to support countries to adapt and mitigate, the happier we will all be. I want to come to a third message about advancing the development agenda, and that is the support which we need to continue to give to help countries recover from crisis and disaster and to improve governance, because both are preconditions for sustainable development. All too often, countries who are trying to recover from crisis lapse back into conflict when a peace dividend is lacking. A transition from crisis to early recovery, which lays the foundations for sustained development, is absolutely critical. And to give you a very current example with Haiti, in Haiti at the present time, obviously humanitarian relief agencies are fully engaged getting basics to people. Where a development agency like UNDP comes in is early recovery, and number one step has been cash for work. Cash for work for people to get small daily payment in return for doing essential work. They have the dignity of buying their own food and supplies from the stallholders in the market. It gives people really a chance to start rebuilding and recovering their lives. So we don't sit around while the longer-term plans are being developed. We look for an immediate way forward for people to be able to generate an income. And we aim in the course of the coming months to involve up to close to 250,000 people in those schemes, and we have the capacity to do that with funder support. Our agency works in every crisis and post-crisis country around the world. What is characteristic of the UN development system is it's been there before a crisis, it's always there during a crisis, and it's there after a crisis, and the cameras have gone away. So whether one is talking Liberia or Somalia, Iraq or Afghanistan, Georgia, Sudan, Timor-Leste, a very long list of countries either in crisis or recovering from it, we are there. And at that early stage of endeavouring to recover from crisis, we work in many ways. We do work on disarmament, demobilisation, rehabilitation and reintegration of former combatants. We work with other agencies on combating the plague of sexual and gender-based violence, which sadly accompanies many conflicts. We work on trying to build back government and institutions on the rule of law. We champion legal empowerment of the poor. We work to combat corruption. We support national human rights institutions and electoral processes. We work to make decentralised government more effective, to build the capacity of municipalities, districts, regions. We work to support parliaments to play their role of scrutiny to the extent that they're able. All of these things underpin longer-term development progress. I call them the software of development. In around 40 countries, we're active at the moment on mine action, on eliminating the threat of landmines and explosive remnants of war. Australia has been particularly supportive of our work in this area in both Iraq and in Sri Lanka. We have especially large programs in a number of areas in Afghanistan, and I'm well aware that what happens there is closely followed in Australia because you have an ongoing military presence and also a significant development contribution which you make. In Afghanistan, we do work on that strengthening of national, provincial and local government set of issues and public administration. We are involved in the demobilisation, disarmament, reintegration, rehabilitation of combatants, and we do work very much also with communities on sustainable livelihoods and infrastructure as well. Australia has supported us on governance, part of the work there, and we have also partnered you in work on civil service development and resettling returning refugees. I understand that we are due to open a regional office in Oruzgan province, where Australian military are primarily stationed, so we should, I think, be having more contact with Australia in that context as well. Just a word on Haiti, because one's mind is very much on recovery from crisis and disaster there. Haiti, of course, was coming out of an extraordinarily devastating hurricane of 2 years ago, and decades, many decades of very poor government and of civil strife. So there's obviously a very long journey ahead for Haiti, and it is a country where every single pillar of UNDP's mandate is relevant. Recovery from crisis and disaster, working to improve governance, targeting poverty reduction and MDGs. Haiti is on course to achieve absolutely none of them, and dealing with issues of the environment. Haiti has extreme environmental degradation. So this is obviously a set of problems, now, of course, compounded by the devastation of the earthquake, which cannot be dealt with one's swing of the wheel. This is going to require a very long-term commitment by the international community. And the UN flash appeal for $575 million is frankly the tip of the iceberg. The encouraging thing is that that appeal has been filled pretty quickly, but we will have to come back for more. And the donor conference, which is expected to be held within the next 6 weeks or so, will be presented with a post-disaster needs assessment and some of the mega figures that will be needed around that. The key principle that will be applied is to endeavour to build back better. That was the lesson with recovery from the tsunami in Asia, where a determined effort was made to build back better, and that's going to be extremely important for Haiti. In general, I just want to underline that disaster and climate risk reduction has to be given very high priority in national development plans, and I know that's entirely consistent with Australian thinking on development assistance and planning these days. In our own region, in the last 12 months, floods and cyclones in Fiji, devastating tsunamis in Samoa and Tonga, volcanic eruptions in Vanuatu. As human beings, we have to live and manage around.